Welcome. Here darkness speaks, and buried secrets are revealed. Prepare for a journey between fear and fantasy, where the truth may be more terrifying than nightmares. Do you dare to continue? In one of the city's outskirts, there lay a deep, ancient tunnel buried underground. The tunnel was infamous among locals for being cursed. In past eras, it was used to transport coal and stone, but it ceased operation after a tragic collapse that claimed the lives of dozens of workers. Rumors circulated that the souls of those buried there had never left, trapped within the tunnel, waiting for anyone brave enough to venture inside. One night, a young man named Alan decided to explore the tunnel, challenged by his friends to spend an entire night there. Confident and skeptical of ghosts or superstitions, he entered with just a flashlight and some simple equipment. As he ventured deeper, he felt an oppressive chill, despite it being midsummer. The walls seemed to shift around him, faint whispers encircling him, growing louder the further he went. He reached a central point in the tunnel where his flashlight suddenly stopped working, and the darkness grew so thick it felt like it was closing in on him. He tried to gather his courage, but with each passing moment, terrifying events unfolded. Every step Alan took revealed something more horrifying. The ground beneath his feet started to tremble strangely, as if rejecting his presence. Suddenly, he heard a faint moan, resembling a mix of crying and screaming, echoing from the depths of the darkness. The sound gradually morphed into sharp cries that reverberated through the walls, making his heart pound with fear. He sensed an unsettling movement in the air, as if something was about to appear. He heard eerie murmurs, like a strange, otherworldly language that no human could understand. The flashlight flickered for a brief moment, illuminating the tunnel walls where ancient words, written in old, dried blood, appeared. "No escape, your end is here, and those who enter will never leave alive." He pulled out his phone to try capturing these inscriptions, but suddenly felt something pulling it from his hand with great force. When he turned, no one was there, but he was surrounded by disjointed laughter mixed with screams of agony. He continued walking in terror until he reached a small chamber within the tunnel. Inside were remnants of rotten food and old belongings, as if someone had lived there long ago. But what he saw on the ground made him recoil in horror. A severed hand, still rigid, as if it were pointing at him or reaching to grab him. At that moment, he felt something touch his shoulder. He backed away, only to stumble into a pale corpse emerging from the darkness, stained with blood, its wide eyes staring directly at him as if pleading for him to leave. Alan tried to flee, but the more he ran, the tunnel seemed endless. The sounds became louder, whispers echoing in his ears until they nearly deafened him. In the distance, he saw a group of ghostly figures dressed in old worker uniforms, covered in blood and dust, their forms distorted as though victims of brutal accidents. Alan attempted to retreat, but he felt unseen hands reaching out from the cold walls, grabbing his clothes and pulling him further into the darkness. Icy breaths brushed his neck, and threats of revenge whispered in his ear. Every attempt to escape led him back to the same place, as if the tunnel had transformed into a demonic maze trapping him inside. The sound of footsteps approached him from behind, heavy, like the strikes of a hammer. When he turned, he saw the apparition of a towering worker wielding a rusty axe. His eyes sunk in pure blackness, his face marred by horrific burns and scars. The ghost advanced toward Alan with slow, deliberate steps, each thud echoing within the tunnel, as if carving a path through the walls. At that moment, Alan stumbled over something on the ground. When he looked down, he found scattered bones, some still bearing remnants of dry flesh, as if they hadn't been dead for long. He slowly realized that the tunnel was filled with decayed corpses, their hollow eyes staring at him, pleading for salvation. The bones began to crackle as if moving on their own. Each corpse was stirring slowly, as if calling to him, and they were nothing but ghosts coming back to life to trap him. The spirits surrounded him, guiding him toward the deepest part of the tunnel where darkness reigned. Alan tried to escape repeatedly, but the corpses reappeared at every dark corner, some advancing slowly toward him, others suddenly appearing to pierce his heart with fear. His own screams echoed throughout the tunnel as he sank deeper into the darkness. In a moment of despair, he found a rusty iron door slightly ajar. He pushed it open slowly and entered to find himself in a vast, dark hall. Hundreds of bodies were hanging from the ceiling, suspended by rusty chains, each one swaying slightly, their open eyes fixed on him, and their mouths muttering incomprehensible words that conveyed terror and rage. He tried to scream for help, but his voice was lost among the angry spirits. At that moment, he felt something wrapping around his neck, squeezing his breath away. He grasped at his throat and found an invisible rope slowly pulling him upward, as if a malevolent force was choking him gradually. In the tunnel's darkness, he felt an indescribable pressure on his chest, as though the entire tunnel was closing in on him. Alan realized then that the tunnel was an eternal trap, condemning him to stay with the tormented spirits forever, and that every door or any glimmer of light was merely a trick by those spirits who had yet to forgive their tragic deaths. This was the last sensation Alan felt before he vanished into the depths of darkness, leaving his terrifying fate behind. He was never found, but on silent nights, ominous whispers and laughter could be heard echoing through the tunnel, as if Alan had now become part of the curse that ensnared everyone, waiting for a new victim to dare enter the dark tunnel.